Welcome back to the House of Kayfabe here on the YouTube channel. My name's Adam Harris. Let me grab my microphone, bring it over here into the screen with me and the one, the only, the most professional trial lawyer in all of wrestling, Steohen P. New. I keep mixing the nicknames up. I'm just going to keep it, why would we be stale? That's right. The trial chief
The trial chief.
himself.
Acknowledge me.
Acknowledge him here on the House of Kayfabe. We did a little video you guys should check out. We already talked a little bit about Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt. A lot bit, actually. We talked a lot. That was a great chat. Remembering two legends in their own right, a past legend and a future legend, no doubt. So check that out on the House of Kayfabe. And Steve, shortly after all that happened, we had All In went down in Wembley Stadium. It was a big weekend for wrestling, and we probably won't talk much more about it, but there was also some other stuff. NWA had their 75th anniversary this weekend, the same weekend. Impact had some shows, had a pay-per-view. GCW was running as well. Tons of great wrestling going on, and yet 81,000 and some people gathered in Wembley Stadium, including Derek Jones from the House of
That's right. That's right. Our boy Derek Jones, new to fatherhood, packed up his belongings like Jed Clampett and headed over to London, England
Grabbed his
to watch.
passport.
That's right, to watch All In. And I've heard mixed reviews about the shows. Some of the clips I've seen looked like some of the matches were really good. Other clips I've seen, not quite so good. And then, as always seems to happen, some backstage drama, some Twitter fighting, and things like that. And
No matter how good the matches are.
no matter how good the matches are, there always seems to be some drama going on. And there are reports of suspensions of two of the bigger stars in AEW. And you and I looked at the All Out card for Chicago this Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
It has 5 matches.
Yeah.
And I was saying there was a complicating factor. According to the media reports, Tony Khan has agreed to give anyone off for Bray Wyatt's funeral for Wednesday.
Wow. Which is the Go Home Dynamite show.
That's the Go Home Dynamite show. You got to, and it's going to affect Rampage. But if those are the only 5 matches that you're having, I mean, unless you're going to add some more matches or, something very quickly develops from Dynamite, Rampage, or Collision, I mean, your card's kind of set at that point. Do you, if you're Tony Khan, do you have Adam Cole come out and invoke his rematch? Do you do any rematches from All In and you add them to the show in All Out? He played it kind of close to the vest with the All In card. 2 weeks out, they'd sold tens of thousands of tickets. They were upwards of 50 to 60,000 tickets, and you didn't know for sure what the card was going to look like. So it's going to be real interesting to see how Khan handles this situation. Another thing he could do is put some young talent over. You want to know who I want to see on the All Out card?
What would you do? Book it.
Give me a Big Cass match.
Push him. I say, push him to the moon.
They've
not done so good with their big guys, man. I mean, unfortunately, somehow Wardlow has seemed to squander, and Hobbs, who is on the card at All In, doesn't seem somehow, even though it felt like there was nice initial buy-in from the fans.
Yeah.
I think Cass has got it too, man. He seems like an athletic big man, can work a mean style. He's believably angry and dislikable and a giant. You can't teach it. That's true. He's that tall. But I agree with you on that, Steohen P. New. I would book a run for Big Cass.
Right. And, you've got one women's match on there. Ruby Soho for the TBS championship. Let that go. I don't know that you need any other women's matches. You just had a 4-way where Saraya won the belt in England. Okay, great. That's a feel-good moment. but I don't know that you need any other kind of rematches or challenges or anything else like that. Put some guys in there that we don't get to see very much and who weren't also on the all in card. Give some of these other guys that are working really hard, that haven't had a great deal of TV time, give them 12 minutes, 15 minutes at All Out, and let them see what they can do.
Yeah, yeah. What I fear is the scramble booking and that sort of thing might end up having to take over here, and you end up with watered down things at that point. And listen, you got to do what you got to do in this business. Sometimes people don't show up. Things happen, travel changes. Who the hell knows what could happen between now and then? So it happens to every promoter, happens to every booker. They're going to have to make hay with whatever the weather gives them. And we should, at this far into the video, say we just, full disclosure, neither of us watched All Out in its entirety, or All In, I mean, in its entirety. But we've been seeing some clips, and I admit most of the clips I saw were actually of the entrances. You were talking about how the matches went over. I was thinking, well, actually, all I think I remember was everybody singing Queen and
Right.
everybody singing Fozzy at the stadium, which I admit are cool moments, and I will say AEW jumped up their game as far as the production value goes. That felt like a big show. It felt like a WWE arena show.
It felt like a WrestleMania.
Definitely.
It felt like a WrestleMania just from the buzz and everything about it. I mean, so hats off to AEW for the production value, as you said. And, and we've seen that where music is concerned, Khan will spare no expense.
No doubt. No doubt.
I don't know how much Baltimore's Tarzan boy cost him that he's not using anymore. But, there's Kansas, there's Rancid,
I have to hope. I don't know. There's got to be some connection between maybe TNT, between the TNT and NFL Stadium and all that. They've got to have the right negotiations in place to be able to say, let us do this. Come on.
Right.
And hopefully everybody makes out that way. But yeah, speaking of that Baltimore entrance music, I guess it was on the pre-show when Jungle Boy and Hook went at it for the FTW title. And unfortunately, with all the hubbub going around Jungle Boy, I feel like that sucks for Hook the most, who is kind of probably had a good showing, probably in the biggest match of his life, obviously the biggest crowd. And actually, other than the one spot, nobody's really talking about the match or the feud, unfortunately.
Right.
So
and that's a shame because I love Hook, man. I
Definitely.
think that kid's future is just unlimited. It's getting talked about because Jungle Boy decided he wanted to look into the camera and talk about the real glass incident from Collision a few weeks ago. Be a professional.
Mm-hmm.
If you're being, truth be told, this is my theory. This is no inside baseball or anything else like that. Truth be told, Jungle Boy was probably honked off that he wasn't going over. He was going to have to put Hook over in front of 81,000 people. He probably was honked off about that. And, he's obviously still got hard feelings over whatever happened with, Phil Brooks saying, look, we're not going to use real glass. It's unsafe, and then what happened. Now, if Tony Khan was smart, you know what I'd do? I'd book CM Punk versus Jungle Boy in Chicago.
And All Out, man, for sure.
And, he always misses the opportunity.
That's the way to sell some friggin' tickets right there,
that's
man.
Exactly.
Talk about Funk and Lawler from back in the day, man. It would draw wherever they were.
Yes. And so, last year they missed the golden opportunity. I would have booked Punk and FTR versus Omega and the Bucks. I'd have sat all those guys down in a room with me. If I were a billionaire and I owned AEW, I'd sit down. I'd have sat all six of them down and said, all right, boys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make some money off this angle. And we're going to build this up for 2 or 3 weeks. And in our next pay-per-view, we're going to let you guys talk. We're going to blur the lines between reality and fiction. And I do the same thing with Jungle Boy and Punk now. I'd say, look, I get that you guys don't like this, but Jungle Boy, you've been in this business about a hot minute. CM Punk's been around for a long time, and you're going to go through this program with him, and you guys are going to have a best of 3 starting with All Out, and we're going to all make some money, and you guys talk all the crap you want to talk on social media, and no holds barred. But what we're going to do, you're going to be professionals when you're in the ring with one another, and if we book the match this way, this is the way you're going to do it.
So one of the questions I have at the end of the day is, what if Jungle Boy hadn't had to bring it up? In other words, he legitimized all of the rumors, all of the dirt sheets. He legitimized all of that by acknowledging it into the camera. And I have to wonder if this is something and that's part of the thing that makes some of us think it's a work, which I don't know if anybody's willing to talk about that yet or not, but I don't think it is. But, it could totally be, because that's what makes me think he looked right in the camera and did that. No one told him not to. And if that's what started all this and they hadn't talked about it, then that's part of the problem, is that no one told him not to.
Right.
No one told him it wasn't a good idea.
Well, and I think what you have with that company is nobody squashes the beefs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the same
that's
thing.
That's what we're led to believe. Yeah,
that's
what
Andrade,
it seems like.
El Dildo, and Sammy Guevara got into. Same exact stuff. These two guys chirping at each other on social media, and nobody was standing there when Andrade showed up at the arena that evening and, just drilled Sammy Guevara like he said he was going to. But seeing what was going on in social media and the internet wrestling community, someone should have taken Jack Perry to the side and said, hey, listen, don't mention that real glass incident from Collision a few weeks ago there. You're going to get suspended. And I can tell you, I've heard this from very high up executives within AEW. The inmates run the asylum, that you'll book a finish. Somebody will go to Tony Khan, get the finish changed. That you will, someone will break a rule of some sorts, and an executive,
someone's there to bring somebody's attention to it.
Right. A coach or something like that will say, we want to suspend them, or we want to take money from them for and there's no rules. There's no consequences for ever breaking any rule.
And in a business of the alpha males and the egos, and you might argue that that's one of the things that made WWE successful for this long, is that there was always that clear chief, and there was always somebody that was going to say, this is going to go and this is not going to stand,
Right.
And you know what? Probably Punk is trying to take some cues from Vince McMahon. Punk is probably trying to see, I don't know. I don't know if it's appreciated by everybody, but maybe he's trying to be the adult in the room. But I also think it's part of them. Oh, and what I was going to say about the Jungle Boy acknowledging it thing is, in the early days of AEW, somebody did a big flip over the top rope, and they look in the camera and they say, oh, how about that, Jim Cornette, or something along those lines. They basically, you doing that legitimizes the beef that he just laid on you. And if anybody didn't know about it, you just brought it to their attention, and you just made them realize that it's an actual thing, and it doesn't do everybody any good.
Right.
But maybe CM Punk is trying to be that locker room leader, and we've heard in the past that Jungle Boy doesn't want to listen to anybody. That's the narrative that's been built around him. And those are two things that aren't going to go together. And you know what? And Punk probably relates to a person should relate to a person who doesn't want to be told what to do.
Right.
Unfortunately, I don't think he's relating to this one.
Right. And if Miro wants to stick his nose where it doesn't belong, if I'm Punk, I'm like, look, when I'm finished with Jack Perry, to quote the great Bill Goldberg, you're next.
I feel like those two could work together also. I mean, I don't know what all the just everybody show up to work and be cool,
be professionals,
be professional. Yeah, I don't know. It's easy for us to say here on the outside, but I guess
sure.
And it's drama permeates every aspect of the pro wrestling business, all the way from the the outlaw mud shows to the finer indie products to the top of the food chain. That's for sure.
That's right. That's right.
Well, while we maybe weren't watching all weekend, we might be watching this weekend. We're always going to be watching for what's next here in the world of professional wrestling. It's been great to chat here with you tonight, Steohen P. Hope you guys will stay tuned to the channel for more from the Trial Chief. Acknowledge him down there in the comments. Let us know what you want his opinion on. We love to chit chat here from the House of Kayfabe, and let us know what you want to hear Steohen P.'s opinion on. I'm Adam Harris for the House of Kayfabe, signing off here on the YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.